Hey Nerdgenic Nation, and welcome to History Of. I'm your host and resident superhero nerd, Aaron Waller, and this is the series where we do a deep dive into various comic book characters, both heroes and villains, give a little bit more insight as to who they are and why they do what they do. And in today's episode, we're talking about a Marvel villain that has had some seriously bad luck despite his large cranium size, but he was long teased in the MCU and maybe potentially making his return, and that's the Leader. The Leader was created by Marvel legends Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 63 in 1964. Born Samuel Stearns in Boise, Idaho, he was a slow-witted high school dropout who was alienated from his family for his more intelligent and older brother. As an adult, Stearns would begin working for a chemical plant, and one day while moving radioactive materials into an underground storage area, some of those materials would become exposed and bombarded Stearns with gamma radiation. He would recover to find out that the radiation changed him from an ordinary human into a green-skinned, super-intelligent entity with an oversized brain housed in an enormous head. He would then begin reading voraciously, accumulating as much knowledge as he possibly could, and discovered that his intellect had increased 1,000-fold, and he even retained information with an accuracy of a computer. Stearns would then shed his human name and begin referring to himself simply as the Leader, and over the next year would become a criminal mastermind, and he even developed an extensive spy ring with plans of taking control of the United States government. His efforts would, however, catch the attention of Dr. Bruce Banner, also known as the Incredible Hulk, and the two would clash on numerous occasions, and at one point even ruining Banner's wedding to Betty Ross. Eventually, the Leader's intellectual capabilities would begin to deteriorate, and he would begin to lose his oversized head and green skin along with it, eventually reverting back to his just normal human form. That is, at least until he's asked to retrieve the body of General Ross after he had died at the hands of Zizix. Stearns would then go on to kill his co-worker and steal the ambulance with Ross's body in it, going to pursue Bruce Banner and encounter the Grey Hulk, to even offer to remove the Banner side of the Hulk, the intellectual side of him at least, in exchange for helping to restore the gamma radiation and intellectual abilities that the Leader once had. They would successfully reintroduce the gamma back into Stearns, but the machine they used would be destroyed, and the Leader would thought be dead when he had in fact escaped with Ross's body and eventually learned how to restore life to the dead. The Leader would go on to have various back and forths with the Hulk and eventually round up the survivors of Gamma Town, a town that he would blow up and then take the survivors to create his own under-ice town called Freehold, that he would populate with radiated victims as he knew the world's government would one day destroy themselves and the world along with them. And because of his generosity and kindness, the people of Freehold would eventually come to love the Leader. Freehold would eventually, however, come under attack when Hydra would raid it looking to take it over. The Hulk and several others would be dispatched, and the Leader's machine to restore the dead would be destroyed, and he along with it. Though it would later be revealed that his disembodied spirit would possess one of his followers named Omnibus, to which he would conduct various terrorist attacks, and the people of Freehold would eventually put him on trial and banish him to the Arctic Circle before he's eventually eaten by a polar bear. During his many deaths and resurrections, the Leader temporarily enters the Below Place, each time through the Green Door, but he never remembered what he saw there or how he returned to life. He would eventually reform with his body using cells of plants and dead animals and hide in an abandoned mine in the American Southwest. And it's during this time he would discover an ability to be able to mentally summon Bruce Banner, who at the time was suffering from advanced ALS. He would tell Banner that he was on the verge of achieving enlightenment and would transcend the physical plane. He even offered to cure Banner of his disease on the condition that he witness his ascension. Banner would agree and then watch the Leader's consciousness expand, only for the Leader's body to explode at the final crucial moment. Stearns would return to the Below Place and become desperate, trying to run from the presence known as One Below All. Banner would later hear the Leader's voice in his head begging for help, claiming that he had made a terrible mistake. But Banner would turn his back on him despite being the only one who could hear Stearns. So he made the only decision that he possibly could and began researching the Green Door, trying to discover just how to open and control it. He would eventually be resurrected again, put on trial again, this time by S.H.I.E.L.D., and be defended by Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, only to die again and once again be resurrected. Later, when the Hulk returned to Earth and decided to wage war on the planet, MODOK and the Leader joined forces by hacking into defense satellites and channeling cosmic energy through them, which ultimately led to the Hulk's defeat. They would even approach a revived General Ross and convince him to become the Red Hulk, as part of a scheme to defeat the Hulk and conquer the world along with other mutated Hulk villains. The plan would ultimately fail, and the Red Hulk would drain the Leader's body of all radiation and his powers, once again leaving him just a normal human. He would, however, be able to return the powers and use him as a spy, but he would be killed by the Punisher after he discovered that Ross was using him, and then would revive him once again just to recruit him into the Thunderbolts. The leader would rise and fall from power over and over again. He would continue to live, die, be revived, lose, and gain his powers over and over again in various stories before eventually wanting to use one below all to become the only remaining presence in the multiverse. Stearns would begin to put his accumulated knowledge into practice and travel to the below place. He would even disguise himself as Bruce's father and go after Bruce Banner's loved ones. He would eventually gain access to the Green Door and take control of the Hulk. The Devil Hulk, aka Banner's father, locked inside, would become riled up enough to finally break free from his prison and confront the leader, causing the leader to become very fearful. He would be able to get a slight upper hand once again and restrain Banner, but the leader would be forced to be possessed by one below all in order for his plan to work, something that he definitely did not want to happen. Eventually though, he would, surprise surprise, be defeated, and he would be returned to Earth where he was arrested and presumably taken into police custody. Now the leader has also appeared in plenty of other places outside of comics. He's appeared in various other properties such as various Hulk video games, animated properties like the Incredible Hulk animated series, The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Avengers Assemble, and appeared only a single time in live action in 2008's The Incredible Hulk in human form as Samuel Stearns, aka Mr. Blue, played by Tim Blake Nelson, who would eventually begin his transformation toward the end of the film, only for it to never be revisited, though with the new Marvel She-Hulk series, this loose end may one day be tied up. Now in terms of powers and abilities, you probably already have gotten the gist as to exactly how his powers work, or at least what he can kind of do. But let's just go ahead and go over it once again, just to make sure we're all on the same page. When fueled with gamma radiation, the potential of his intelligence is nearly unlimited, being capable of mastering every worldly subject and adopting concepts completely foreign to his environment. He would even unlock latent telekinetic and telepathic powers to control and manipulate whomever he pleases. And now for my favorite segment here on History Of, the recommended reading section, where I give you a list of comics where you can go and learn even more about the leader, as well as see him in action. First up, we have his first appearance in Tales to Astonish number 63, and is the debut of the character, and as I like to say, is always a great place to start. Next up, we have the Incredible Hulk number 122, which is where the leader begins to better establish himself as a villain and even interrupt the wedding of Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. But for a more ruthless story, I would start with the Incredible Hulk number 340, which is when he destroys a town with a gamma bomb and tries to kill the Hulk. This of course would be followed up by a more redeeming story of how he builds freehold for the survivors, starting in the Incredible Hulk number 364. But if you're looking for something involving the many deaths and revivals of the leader, Hulk number 22 is where the Red Hulk takes away the leader's gamma and turns him back into Samuel Stearns, to which he would eventually have to regain it, but that sets off a whole new chain of events that he both lives, dies, regains his powers, loses them again, and the whole cycle just continues to roll again and again. So those are some of the major things you need to know about the leader. Was there anything in this video you may not have known otherwise? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, leave me a comment as to any other characters you'd like to see on History Of. Your suggestion just might become next week's video. And also while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss on any future videos from me or the rest of the Nerdgenic team. And also be sure to follow us across all social media platforms at Nerdgenic. That way you don't miss out on any special news, announcements, when we're going live, or articles at nerdgenic.com. But in the meantime, if you want even more video content from us, check out these playlists on screen, like my History Of playlist right over here, which gets a new character every single Saturday. Or for a change of pace and you love some video games, check out Russ's playlist of video game stuff right over here. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next video.